Hey, this is John from Pine Comics, and if my co-host Lloyd was here, he would tell you a couple things about this show. Number 1, we swear way too fucking much. And number 2, we drop spoilers without any warning. Now that you know that, listen in and enjoy the show.
To summon us.
Who are you?
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
It was a mistake! I didn't mean to help it. It was a mistake!
Happy Halloween, motherfuckers out there. It's Pine Comics. I'm John. With me tonight, my gruesome twosome on this Halloween special. I got the redheaded stranger, Laura, over there. Sitting over there. Laura, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My favorite redheaded stranger. You know what that means? Fuck you, Willie Nelson. And the law of Pine Comics, Officer Mike, the sheriff of Pine Comics. Mike, what's going on, man?
Happy to be here on Halloween.
That's right. This is our Halloween episode. We started doing the Halloween episodes last year. Our first one was we did a trash, tolerable, or treasure episode on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
God.
I gave it a tolerable. I don't hate that movie.
Oh, yeah. I just watched that for the first time last week, and oh god,
I give him credit for going like he tried something, you know.
He tried something.
All right. So don't listen to that episode, Laura. So here's how we got to the movie we're going to be talking about tonight. I messaged Larry, of course, Larry Dwyer of Scary Larry's Pine of Horrors, and I said, let's do a Halloween special, but let's not do like what we've been doing on the Pine of Horrors with these kind of obscure movies. I said, let's do a fucking classic. And I used Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a idea. I said, I want to talk about a classic Halloween horror movie or classic horror movie, period. He thought about it and didn't get back to me right away. And then he got back and he said, we're doing this with Mike, right? And I said, yeah. He said, and this is what kind of friend Larry is to you, Mike. I didn't tell you this story yet. He said, Mike loves Hellraiser. Let's do Hellraiser. So this is for you, Mike.
Oh, Larry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scary Larry.
Yep. And he also told me, I think this is kind of funny. He said part of it is, and I know this about you. We've talked about it. You're a huge Clive Barker fan.
Correct.
He told me that one of his little practical jokes is he often will tell you he just read on the internet that Clive Barker died.
Yes, that's a classic. And then today he carried on he's like, before you record, the second one's better. And I'm like, just stop.
Ooh.
Just stop.
He did message that to me the other night when I watched this, because I had not seen Hellraiser, and I've seen it a couple times. I'd not seen it in many years, so it'd been a while. And he's like, Hellbound's better, right? So
incorrect, but we'll move on.
Laura, have you've seen Hellraiser before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what was it? Something that you were excited about when I said it, or were you like, oh, fuck Hellraiser?
No, I was excited about it. I had actually watched it for the first time in a while, a couple weeks before you had asked me to do it. So I was all pumped to watch it again.
Ready to go.
I just really like it.
All right. And Mike, just real quick, give me kind of like the backstory of your fandom of Clive Barker. How did this start?
So I got sucked in by his often quoted Stephen King front of the book where I've seen the future of horror, and it is Clive Barker.
Right.
So I bought all his Books of the Blood from those quotes. Those were amazing. They're literally probably the most imaginative horror fantasy short stories I've ever read. And from there, I was just hooked. I got everything as it came out. I have most of them first edition, most of them signed. I mean, it's been painful. He's not been able to work for about 5 or 6 years. He got into a coma after he got dental surgery.
Yeah, that's crazy. He had dental surgery, and they hit like a pocket of like pus or something.
Yep.
And it got into his bloodstream, and it fucking comatized him.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yes. After he had throat cancer from smoking cigars, probably. But yeah, he's had a rough time. And he just recently did an interview with Mick Garris, And it was the first one he's done in like 6 or 7 years. And he sounded like death, but he was, saying he's going to be back on it and keep writing and keep going.
So Hellraiser, September 18th of 1987. That's when this thing came out. The novella that this was based on, I actually read this randomly years ago, was The Hellbound Heart. That was going to be the original title of the movie. The studio nixed it because they said it sounded like too much like a romance. Right?
Isn't it, though?
Yeah. This is some kind of romance. Yeah, this is some kind of romance for sure. A couple other, what was Clive Barker came up with the title, well, let me find it here. Oh, fuck. Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave. That's the one he recommended, and they were like, yeah, no. So they settled on Hellraiser, which had an unintended consequence in the comic books. I don't know if you know this or not, but John Constantine, the book Hellblazer, was initially going to be called Hellraiser, and these were right around the same time. So they, at the last minute, had to change the name to Hellblazer. So it did not get confused with Hellraiser the movie. So,
and since we'd had Hellraiser comics, so now it all works out.
Yeah, there you go. I think this is a funny fact. When they were trying to come up with a name for the movie, and Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave was off the table, and Hellbound Heart wasn't going to be used. Clive Barker, who was a first-time director, by the way, like this is a novelist who just
not officially.
Oh, what was his?
He had done underground movies in England.
Okay.
He even they're very. You should be able to find them, but he even interestingly tried doing a similar effect of bisecting somebody with like cross cuts and etc. It's really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a quote where he said that he was such a novice director that if you showed him a plate of spaghetti and told him it was a camera lens, he would believe you.
Yes.
And he said that the crew and the cast of Hellraiser were great because they put up with his like complete like lack of knowledge of how to do what he did, but he directed this movie. But he had kind of a focus group of crew members and producers, and he said, we got to come up with a title for this movie. And they didn't name her, but a 60-year-old woman on the crew came up with what I think should have been the name of this. And what it was What a Woman Would Do for a Good Fuck. Which essentially is the plot of Hellraiser, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That really encapsulates the movie very well.
Yeah. All right.
The quick answer, a lot.
Yeah, apparently
Go very far.
So he wrote and directed this film. If you want to know more of his movie credits, Nightbreed, which Larry loves. It's a piece of shit. And Candyman, which I do love.
Well, that wasn't really him.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah. The story was based on his novel, but Nightbreed he did direct.
Yep.
Books of Blood, Weave World, Magica. These are some of his novels. In the mid-1990s, Marvel Comics had a Razor line. Did you read all this stuff? There was the Clive Barker.
It was bad.
It was all bad.
It was terrible. But you should say the Last Illusion.
Oh, that was another one of his...
but that he actually directed that.
He directed that. Lord of Illusions.
Lord of Illusions, that's correct. The Last Illusion is the book.
Okay. And that was Scott Bakula, right?
Scott Bakula as the investigator.
I saw that in the movies when it came out, and like that's all I remember about it was Scott Bakula. And I remember it's like about a magician, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's it. Scott Bakula, magic, Clive Barker. That's all I got.
I love Scott Bakula so much.
Are you a Scott Bakula fan?
Did you ever see it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah, Scott Bakula is wonderful. I love Quantum Leap so much. So deeply.
Really?
So
I
must
love
have liked
Quantum
him
Leap.
naked with his weird
Yes,
back
very
tattoos
much,
and
yes.
all that fun.
Yes, I watched it when I was little. It was like a whole awakening kind of thing.
Was Scott Bakula naked in that movie?
There's a lot of back shots, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because if you remember, he had full on, before it was like really popular, he had full on tribal all over his body. And so they were kind of showing it off.
No, I don't remember that at all.
No.
I got to watch this. Let me write this down. I'm not going to really write it down, but let me write it. I'm not left-handed, but
Make a mental note.
Yes.
Lord of Illusions.
Yes. I think it's worth it. He was able to bring it in, and they didn't chop it up and destroy it like he did with his other movie, and I think it's worth a watch.
All right. Back to the Marvel Comics things, those ran from 93 to 95. There was titles Ecto Kid, which sounds like Ecto Cooler to me, and Saint Sinner. The Marvel Universe Prime that we get, that we've been reading about since 1963, is Earth 616 in the multiverse. And at some point, they made Clive Barker's Earth 45828. So there's a little trivia for all you comic book nerds out there. listening to Pint of Comics. This was filmed all around London in 1986. Here's a really weird thing about this movie. There's a lot. It's a lot of English actors in this, obviously. Okay, some people are obviously dubbed.
Yes.
Okay, they never say where they are, and there's a reason for that. The studio purposely didn't want them to set it in London. So technically, even though they don't say it, based on what the studio wanted, they wanted you to believe this was taking place in the Midwest of America.
Well, that was retcon after because they liked what they saw, and they didn't want to release it in America, fearing that it would be too London centric, which is
That's so fucking stupid.
yeah, but it's 87.
any sense.
It's stupid. There were a couple of cuts to get rid of any background, and you'll note that there's a lot of really weird architecture and stuff, especially when she's like walking around the docks and stuff.
It looks like England.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, you don't see like the Big Ben or the Ferris wheel or all the the usual crap.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
but-
double-decker buses, and the Queen in the background.
Hello.
Or somebody going into a big red phone booth for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just thought that was a weird choice. And there's a line in the movie where our Larry says to Julia, his wife, that we're what does he say? Like, we're back on your turf.
Yes.
And they move-
Which makes it very clear.
Because she's British as fuck. She's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
As fuck.
She's the only one they kept her accent.
There's a couple of the businessmen that she
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're not as bad, but the ones they dubbed. Oh god.
Still.
oh, the dubbing. The dubbing is brutal.
Especially
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah, Frank's dubbing
God.
is rough. Frank's dubbing
Frank's
is
dubbing's
rough.
rough. The boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
And like terribly classic is the old lady in the pet shop.
Oh,
want to see the manager.
I would like to speak to your manager, please. Like, ma'am, please.
She really wanted to take care of her bird.
Yeah.
It
She
was a
apparently
bird, right?
did.
I think it was a bird.
It was a bird. We're talking about some of the characters. Let's get into the cast of this thing. I have to catch up now because I'm used to Lloyd and Larry doing this shit, and I got to read notes. I hate reading notes.
Yeah.
Andrew Robinson plays Larry, not Larry Dwyer, but Larry. You might know him from Cobra. I think he was like the Stallone's like captain. You got to stop killing everybody, Cobra. One of those roles.
Yeah, and Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry.
Yes.
He was Scorpio. He was the Scorpio killer. Claire Higgins as Julia. Ready Player One. Which 30 years later, I wouldn't recognize her. And she's apparently been in Downton Abbey.
Yeah,
never
and
seen
she's
that.
also she's a very theatrical actress. She's in
Yeah.
a lot of plays.
She has
You can tell she's theatrical just by the way she looks. Her hair is very theatrical.
her Aladdin sane haircut.
Yeah.
She looks like David Bowie. Like
Yeah, she
looks,
does have a
isn't there-
quality.
there's like a Bowie quality in her dress and her hair.
Yeah. And the big earrings
And
that
the
she
sneer.
wears. Yeah.
The hate.
Ashley Lawrence plays Kirsty. She's been in Hellbound, the second one, Hell on Earth, the third one. She's cute, man. I that lost me somewhere, but very cute, very attractive actress, and she's very good looking now too. I looked her up, and because Larry said she's very good looking, so
She has great hair. I
she
love
does
her
have good hair. She does have good hair. All right, so Frank is played by two people. I don't know why.
No, because to wear the special effects.
Oh, okay.
So just like in Alien, they always get really skinny people so that when you put a costume on them, then they're normal size.
oh, okay.
So it's a super, super skinny guy that's in the Frank skinned outfit.
Okay, so we got Sean Chapman. Basically, he's been in every British TV show ever. He plays Frank, like regular Frank. And then we have Oliver Smith, who is credited as Frank the Monster. Right, so that's how they're credited: Frank and Frank the Monster. And then Doug Bradley. He's the last one I'll bring up. Most people probably know him as fucking Pinhead, but Laura, do you know the interesting factoid here in the credit?
Like, you mean that?
The character's name.
Oh, the priest thing, or
Lead Cenobite.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, never called Pinhead. That was just a fan thing and it stuck.
Yeah.
No, not fan from the special effects guys.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so the original costume had really skinny nails, and when they put it on camera, you could barely see them. So they actually had to put caps of bigger nails over them, and so they called them pins, and they called them Pinhead, and it stuck. And Barker hates it.
Yeah, I know Barker doesn't like it. And I don't know, you would probably know this better than me, or you definitely would. Is he credited as Pinhead in any of the other movies, or is it just like Lead Cenobite or Priest repeatedly?
I don't know in the
I
other
think
movies.
he is credited as Pinhead, like going forward.
But Barker had nothing to do with any of them, so
Right.
he just gets executive.
I'm trying to, because I watched Hellbound last night just because might as well, and I don't remember.
That's the
reading
one
credits.
not bad.
Yeah, it's not great, but
But I mean, the other ones are
no,
garbage.
that's pretty much the sequel. That
If I remember anything about Hellbound, and I've only seen that once and it was a long time ago, is that it was much gorier. Is it much gorier?
Oh, it's definitely gorier. I mean, in my opinion, like just watching it have like so close to having watched Hellraiser like the day before, it did strike me as gorier and bloodier, which is kind of weird because Hellraiser is just a gory movie and stuff.
And that's the one that has like the bum that's like having he thinks the bugs are on him. He's cutting himself up.
Yeah. That
scene fucked me up.
That's a hard
The
scene to
crazy
watch.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This was made for $1 million, right? $1 million. All right. And it ended up making 14.6 worldwide. So it's a hit. Before we get into it, I will go through the, I want to go through the list of sequels this fucking thing spawned. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, as we just mentioned, 1988. Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, 92. Hellraiser Bloodline, 96. Hellraiser Inferno, 2000. Hellraiser Hellseeker, 2002. Hellraiser Deader, that doesn't sound good at all. No. 05. Hellraiser Hellworld in 05, 2 in 1 year. Mm-hmm. Hellraiser Revelations in 11. Got rid of Doug Bradley, by the way. Different guy plays lead Cenobite, Pinhead, Priest. And then Hellraiser Judgment in 18. Got rid of that guy for a new guy. So Doug Bradley's done with this role, apparently. And they're talking about remaking it, I think, with someone big right now. Scott Derrickson or someone?
No, the current state is that they're going to have a female as the lead Cenobite.
Yeah, no, I mean Scott Derrickson might be the director. I think
Maybe
the guy who made Doctor Strange and Sinister and all that stuff. I think it's him.
We'll see. Connecticut Horror Fest has had Doug Bradley twice, and he said he would come back if Clive did it.
Okay,
but he won't do it for other people.
Well, he did it for other people like fucking 7 times.
No, I know, but he was like done.
Yeah,
he's done now, and he feels correctly so. All of them are bullshit. So he was like, he's kind of like done, and he wouldn't come back and do it at all unless Clive did it. When I interviewed him at the second time at the Connecticut Horror Fest, he said he would be interested in doing the Scarlet Gospels, which is Clive Barker's book. That's the actual follow up to the story.
Oh, so a follow up to the Hellbound Heart.
Yes.
Okay.
And it actually, he works in some of the stuff like that people call him Pinhead and he hates it and all this other stuff. But it's a great book. Actually, had him and Barker sign it. But it's what Barker would really want to do. But it ends everything. So the studio's not going to want to do.
Yeah, they're going to want to keep pushing these fucking things out. 2 in 1 year, 05. Right. So the last one I saw the first 3 because the first 3 are the first 4 are the only ones that were released theatrically, I think is what I read.
Yeah.
I saw the first 3, not theatrically. And the last one I ever saw, I remember, is there a space one?
Yes, there's one in space.
I saw the space one.
The version of the cube that's a diamond or whatever is flying through space.
Yeah. Saw that one.
So there's hell in space.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Well, if Leprechaun can go to space, so can lead Cenobite. So
And Jason.
And Jason.
and Jason. Yeah.
So
Space sounds terrifying.
It is. In space, no one can hear you say Jesus wept.
there you go.
All right. So here's the story of Hellraiser. We got a couple, Larry and Julia. Mm-hmm. All right, and they're moving from Brooklyn back to the Midwest USA, and
Where
Larry,
British women come from.
yeah, we're
That's where we breed our British women in America, in the Midwest.
where do the British women come from? Wisconsin.
Where there's plenty of docks
Yeah.
and water.
So they take over this old house that apparently was like Larry's parents' house. I'm assuming they never really say it, but it was
In
family
the
house.
family.
In the family house. This fucking place is a shithole. It's the kind of place where the moving people have no problem like hitting on your daughter in front of you and asking for beer.
Yeah.
Which was an awkward scene.
So the Midwest.
Yeah. So the Midwest. Yeah, absolutely. Is that your daughter? Like, that was another one that was like terribly dubbed.
Yeah.
Hello, friend. Is that your daughter?
Well, you got any beer?
Yeah.
No, we're moving shit, asshole.
He gives them.
You're working. You're my employee. Do not ask me for beer.
The crazy part is he doesn't just give them beer; he gives them a sixer. He like hands them the entirety of a 6-pack. It's not like he goes, "Here, have a beer, sit down." He gets these guys legally drunk.
Larry's a friendly guy.
So
Yeah.
so the mover goes from hitting on Larry's daughter to being given 6 beers by Larry.
Yes. Yeah.
So Larry's just an idiot.
Yeah.
Larry's stupid.
Well, yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
All of it. All of it. Because even the beginning, like you're talking when they come in, it's like, hey, we're home. He's like, isn't this great? And Julia's just like, ugh.
Yeah, she's not having it at all.
Yeah.
And one of the best parts of the whole thing is that Andrew Robinson, he's a character actor, but the thing he's most known for is being the nut job in Dirty Harry. You see his face and you go, Dirty Harry. And in this movie, he's like the only sympathetic fucking character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, so this is the guy I got to follow the whole time. So he has a daughter from a previous marriage, which we find out very awkwardly is the mother's dead.
Yes.
Yep.
When the mover hits on her, is she as good looking as her mother? Her mother's dead. I'm like, oh fuck, this whole conversation should not be happening.
No, definitely not.
That's Kirsty, and then we find out something about Julia and Julia's past. What did Julia do, or more precisely, Laura, who has Julia done in the past?
Well, Julia had met Larry's brother Frank when I believe he showed up for their wedding.
Correct.
Something like
Yeah.
And
The day before.
they immediately started this torrid affair.
Yeah.
Like very sexually intense. And she was his immediately. Like she just fell for him right away. It must have been his very deep
on
American
top
accent.
of the wedding dress.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Very
He
symbolic.
took her right on top of it.
Yes, he did.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, this scene was an issue for the ratings board. Clive Barker basically said that they wanted less sex and more violence in it, and this is true. Apparently, in the scene, in the original cut, first of all, I think he had more than 3 butt pumps in a sex scene, and you can only have 2, so he had to cut that. But then there's a scene where what the hell did they say? Oh, there's as they put it, there's a sodomy scene. So apparently they engaged in some other worldly activity. And,
Other world.
Yeah, you know that other world. And I guess he spanks her a couple times during it.
Ooh,
and they said you got to take that out.
Oh, spanking is too much?
Ass sex and spanking are too much. But they told him, why don't you add a level of danger to it? And that's where the scene with the switchblade where he cuts like the strap off comes in.
Oh.
So they're not okay with like, I guess, consensual butt sex between 2 adults. But then when one of them pulls a fucking knife on the other one, it's like, that's what we want in this movie.
It's America.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
I mean, it just bothers me that he ruined her clothes. Like, he didn't have to. There was nothing sexy about that.
No.
Like,
You would have been like, what the fuck?
I would have been like, bitch, I paid a lot of money for this.
But would you have had sex on your wedding dress?
Oh, I don't know. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You pay a lot of money for that, too.
Look,
Probably even more than your nightgown.
let's
Maybe.
let's dig into that off air. All right. Because I think there's a lot to get into there.
Oh, that's another
something to
podcast.
unpack.
That's another podcast. That's a private podcast for us to talk about. All right.
That's the one where is the mic on? What?
Oh, did you record
Were you
all that?
recording that?
Frank is apparently got a magical penis. Let's just put it that way, because Julia is willing to do a lot for him. Now, let's back up a little bit
To the opening.
to the opening when we first meet Frank. How do we meet Frank, Mike?
I always thought when I was younger that it was supposed to be like downtown, not London, Chinatown or something.
I always
like that.
thought it was like Morocco or
Yeah,
something.
but that's what I read somewhere it was supposed to be Nepal.
Okay.
I always thought it was like Chinatown or something.
Yeah, it's like because then he very soon comes back to the house, so that's why you'd have to have like a flight back to either
Yeah, they didn't show any
Midwest slash London to get back. But anyways,
Wisconsin.
and if you look at the making of that scene never moves because again they had no money. So literally the stall where the Asian person that sells him the cube is exactly as wide as the camera length, and that's it. There's nothing else. They couldn't pan, they couldn't move it or anything. So, but it's still, I thought it looked pretty good. But he comes in and he throws some money down. We see his really nice nails. They're all black.
Oh, the nails between him and the fucking guy selling him. It was so gross.
Yes. Well, if you're going for a cube, you're at the end of your rope. So
Yeah.
So your nails are going to be dirty.
yeah. And then the Asian guy drops some sugar in his drink, and Frank gives him some more money and takes it. It's yours. And he says it always was.
Yeah. And what is the cube? What? First of all, what's it called? They never say it in the actual movie, but right, what's the name of the thing?
They refer to it as the puzzle box.
Yeah,
they call it the puzzle box. It's officially called the Lament configuration. Then later, it's called Leckerman's box because this guy Leckerman, who was supposed to be a toy maker, made it. But that's like later stuff.
that's like Hellraiser 9.
No. I mean, some of it was from the comics that supposedly Clive Barker approved that this crazy toy maker made it.
Oh, so like you made it just canon that a toy maker.
Yeah. Because I mean, you didn't mention, but they had a lot of really good comics from Epic that did a lot of Hellraiser and the Books of the Blood.
Oh, okay.
And those are really good. So if you guys like the stuff, they're really good, hand painted, most of them and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a cube. Later, it gets to reconfigure itself into diamonds and other shapes. But here we just have a cube.
He brings it home, right? He gets home like on that 20-minute ride from Morocco to London, Wisconsin. And he goes into this room. He goes into the attic of the house, right? And this is the same house that Julia and Larry have just purchased. And he opens it up and he looks at the box and he's shirtless and kind of sitting Indian style, and he starts to rub his thumb on the thing, and and then all of a sudden it opens and it starts doing crazy shit, and then the next thing you know, chains shooting out of the walls, right, and hooks, and we kind of just see he gets torn apart.
Yep.
Well, that latex though, you can just see the latex skins.
It's certainly not real.
Yeah. Although that's. Of all the things in this,
I focus
no,
on
it
that.
is because they zoom way in,
Yeah.
and you're like,
and now it's in such higher definition, you could really tell it's not skin.
Did you watch the Anchor Bay 2K one?
No, I just watched whatever was on Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's how I watched
Probably
it too.
the same.
Wanted to throw that out there at the beginning of the show. Thank you for reminding me that. If you want to watch this, it's on Amazon Prime.
and so it's Hellbound.
And Hellbound is too. So there you go. You got at least 2 of the fucking 10. So this thing rips him apart, and then we kind of get these like weird leather-bound figures kind of floating in the room, and like they keep showing. What is the thing they keep showing that's like spinning? What is that?
Just a hanging wooden.
It's like this weird wooden pole,
and there's nails and flesh and stuff.
Rats and shit on it.
Yeah.
I think it was just created to make you feel uncomfortable because you can kind of recognize everything that's on it, but you don't really understand why it's there or why it's spinning and like what the purpose of it is. But it's just unsettling.
I buy that.
But it works. It works.
There's more in the book. Like the book, if you remember when he's sitting naked, like there's candles around him. Like it's supposed to be a whole thing. Like like if you're raising the devil or something, there's incantations and things like that. And
well, this is a good segue, Mike. What is the point of Frank getting the box? He explains it at one point, but what is the whole point of the box, and what the idea behind it is?
So the box is supposed to be a gateway to another world, which people never really know what they're getting into. But the idea is if you've gone through everything that's you could possibly do, you've done all the drugs, all the sex, all the positions, even if you can't see it, and you're still not amused and you need more, it's supposed to give you what you want. Later, as it expands, it's supposed to give you what you want, no matter what you want. So, like, it's very sexual for Frank because he's wanting sexual items, but later Barker expanded it that it could be a dark version of what anybody lusts for.
It is at the pinnacle of pain and pleasure. And the Cenobites, and here's the thing, right, Laura, do you agree with this? If you had never seen Hellraiser before, are you going to be shocked at how little the Cenobites are in this thing?
You know what? When I watched it like a month or so ago, like that first time I'd watched it in a long time, I did not realize how long it took for them to appear in the movie.
Right.
I did not remember that.
Had it come back, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, yeah, shit. They really are just in this movie very little.
Because really, Julia and Frank are the villains.
Correct.
Of this film. Mm-hmm. And the Cenobites are just like the fucking, like the cops. That are the very specialized, like sadomasochism cops that are looking for Frank.
Yeah.
And Barker said, like, that they weren't the centerpiece, but everybody gravitated to him. It's like, because, like, the poster was not going to be, Pinhead and the Cenobites, but everybody just gravitated toward him and loved him. So they, that's where all the advertising is. That's where everything is.
Wasn't a lot of that just because he was one of the ones that was able to speak the most dialogue? just because everybody else had very heavy prosthetics on.
They gave
him a lot of the lines that
they gave Butterball some lines, and he couldn't deliver them cleanly, and they gave them between. I'm going to say Pinhead just for the fuck of it.
Yeah. Everybody knows
Pinhead and
they call her the female. Female and then Chatterer.
Throat gash, I guess. I hate saying that.
That was the one. That was the one time that was Barker's cousin, and she only did it in the first one, and then it's Barbie Wild after that.
Because she quit, right? She said it was too much.
Yeah.
well, she had
And
a thing sticking through her. Like,
Well, yeah.
That would be very
and she has
uncomfortable.
hair. That's how you tell the difference. You never have strands of hair on the female later. I don't know why, but maybe
Okay.
Barbie Wild didn't want it. And also from talking to the Chatterer, he was mentioning that he couldn't do anything because he literally had to keep chomping his teeth. That wasn't like a special effect or anything. He had to keep chomping his teeth.
So we get 4 Cenobites. We get Pinhead, who everybody knows. We get the Chatterer, which is this like kind of really creepy, very toothy thing that's constantly, like as Mike said, chattering his teeth. We get what's the female's name? Does she have a name?
She's just called the female.
The female. Okay.
yeah, everybody else gets a cool name, but she's the female.
And she...
Hey, Laura, that's how it works in America. Okay?
In Midwest America,
Yes, exactly.
where the British women are, we just female Cenobites.
Yes. And Bear, pretty much just has a vagina in her throat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a messed up vagina.
Could have at least called her the vagina Cenobite or something like that. Like, that would have been
But
cool.
that comes with a female, no?
Yeah.
Maybe not today. And then you had the Butterball, the fat one.
Yeah.
Who's a really skinny guy.
Is he really a skinny guy?
He's a really skinny guy.
He's like this big fat guy with like permanent like sunglasses attached to his head.
Yes, because, well, no, they're not permanent. But, his eyes are stitched closed. And he has the sunglasses to cover.
Oh, did they come? Yeah, they came
come
off
up
at
at the
one point.
end.
He
yeah.
takes them off so you can see his stitched up eyes.
So Frank gets ripped apart, and we get a real quick shot of somebody putting like his face back together. Larry and Julia show up. You immediately know this is not a good relationship. Julia's just a cold bitch. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, she's just
And Larry might be a little bit too much of a fucking nice guy. Who knows? None of us need like that nice of a guy. We all need a little Frank, right? Little Frank in bed, little Larry like on the town.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Frank in the sheets, Larry in the street.
That's it, right? That's
Julia doesn't need any of it. But.
No. So they show up, and all of a sudden, Julia finds out that something weird's happening in the attic. She goes up in the attic and she finds this. It's Frank, but he's not Frank. He is a slime monster.
No, first you got to bleed.
Right.
Yeah, Larry cut himself when they were moving the mattress.
Correct. I apologize.
We were talking about the mattress, but then we got distracted.
That's what we do here on
About
Tiny
here.
Comics. It happens all the time. Yeah, Larry. There's a 6-inch long nail sticking out of a board, and Larry is trying to move a mattress, and this thing like penetrates the fuck out of him. This nail head just like rips his hand apart. Like, I can't believe he survived this cut.
He should have had the hand amputated.
He goes upstairs to show Julia. She doesn't have no motherly instinct. She's just like, "What's wrong with you, man?" She's like, "You're bleeding everywhere," and he bleeds on the floor.
Yeah, he was bleeding so much, and he went up all the way to the top flight to be like, "I'm bleeding, help
Yeah.
me." Like,
Well, because he's afraid of blood, so he's going to pass out.
yeah, I guess so.
That's right.
And so before that, Julia had found porn pictures that Frank had left around.
Frank likes to fuck Asian women and take pictures of it, but I want to know who's taking the pictures because this ain't no.
Those are actual prostitutes, by the way.
Are they really?
Yeah, the film they needed people like that for the scene, so they went out and they paid actual prostitutes.
Jesus Christ.
It's authentic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Frank not only does Frank like his whole existence is based on apparently fucking, but like not only does he keep pictures of himself and his conquest, but he has sexual action figures, which I never had as a kid. Right? Little like sexual
They look
Cupid doll type
they look
things.
like Hindu, what is it? Was that temple that has all the thousands of carvings of all the different ways to have sex? But yes, he has those all over the house, crawling with maggots.
Ugh.
And then Julia's like, "Ooh, Frank." There's a picture of Frank.
and we get the backstory, the flashback, which shows Frank, "Hi, I'm Frank. I'm brother Frank, and I'm here for your wedding." Like So
I hate
bad.
how he just calls himself Brother Frank. Like,
Yeah.
I'm Brother
Yeah.
Frank. Like,
Frank.
There's something else he says a couple times in this movie that really bothers me.
oh, yeah.
Come to daddy.
Come to daddy. It's
well,
almost like he's saying daddy. Like,
Yeah. Come to daddy.
Come to dad. Oh, so bad.
Larry bleeds, and the blood triggers the Frank rebuilding. Okay.
Which
So-
is a very good special effects.
It is very
Yeah,
good.
it is really cool. Yeah.
It is. All the Frank stuff is very good. Frank is extremely fucking slimy.
Oh, yeah.
And every what I love about Frank is as this movie goes along, he continues to grow, like he's becoming like a real person again. That's the whole idea. He tells Julia, look, there's only one way I can come back. You got to start killing motherfuckers for me, and bloodletting out here, and I'll take over and I'll start to come back. And that's how the movie goes. As she starts bringing people back, we'll get into that. But every stage that he comes back in, as he's getting stronger, he's just still slimier. And we get to one point where he starts wearing like a business casual outfit,
Yeah, nice button down.
which I find hilarious because he's wearing like nice like, you know, Dickies and a button down, yet he's a blood monster and there's just blood all over his clothes.
See, that's one of the things that bothers me most about the movie. Not like the goriness like doesn't really bother me so much, but the fact that he's walking around with these sticky wet clothes on his body is just like the thing that creeps me out the most.
You would have
because-
been less creeped out if he was nude.
Yeah, or like less creeped out when she sucked on his weird finger. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. She is.
It was just
She's down. Yeah, because so we should say he comes back. He's barely more than a skeleton, and Julia, again, I guess was his magic dick. She's like, "Yeah, all right, I'm down."
Yeah.
You know,
Very little she hesitates a little bit, but then she's like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, yeah, I see it.
So through the course of the movie, she brings home 3 different guys that we see. Right? We don't know if there's more, but I have little character descriptions for each one. Let me find them here. Hold on.
Not dubbed.
The first guy she brings home is British. I dub him as Rapey Phil Collins.
Yes, that makes sense.
She meets him in a bar, and like, you know, she's willing to go home with him. But like when she's not fast enough to like start fucking, he's just like, you know, come on, what's your problem? Or I'm sorry, no, he's come on, what's your problem? He's actually British, right? She hammers the fuck out of his head, and then I think this is a great like little bit too, and I'd forgotten about this because this almost brings it to a vampire movie level. Is when Frank like digs his fingers into people,
You can hear that sound.
and you get that that sucking sound where he's like reinvigorating himself.
Squelch.
Oh, good word.
Good word, Laura.
Nice.
Ding 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 ding.
That's always on the tip of my tongue.
What?
Her next victim is 1986 British Eminem.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So she brought British Marshall Mathers back, and then the last victim, which is where she kind of gets caught out by Kirsty, is from the 1950s sitcom Dennis the Menace. His dad. If you remember the
yes.
dad from Dennis the Menace, this very nerdy guy.
It was the glasses.
The glasses,
and
yeah.
it was just like his little suit. Yeah. Yes.
She doesn't even try to like get these guys to think something's going to happen because there's nothing in the room.
Yeah, I mean that's the funniest thing because it's a nice house, especially when they fix it up, and then they go to the attic where it's black and gross and there's rats and it's like
It has to smell bad up
Yes,
there.
yeah.
And you can just tell it's damp.
Is it the first guy is like, are you into this? Or one of the guys is like,
Yeah.
what?
He's just like, okay.
Well, it's such a like. Look, let's all be honest.
But then he's male, so he's like, well, okay.
Well, here's the thing.
have sex.
That's the least of his problems, he thinks.
Let's all be honest though for a second and be adults. Like, you know, I'm sure, you know, there's always that whole like excitement of like, you know, oh, this is gonna happen. But like when she's like, you know, he says something about like doing it on the floor, and she's like, I like it on the floor. I'm looking at that floor going, I don't know if I need this in my life that bad. Like,
Julia was hottie.
you thought Julie was hot?
I mean, look, sure.
Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Look, if I'm a schlub in in the pub,
A schlub in the pub.
a schlub in the
pub.
Midwest pub, and
Yes.
I'm like, Julia's slinking up and is like, hey. I'm like, all right.
And her hair's looking especially big.
Yeah.
She's wearing these really big earrings.
And she has those sweet star, huge star earrings.
The star
Yes.
earrings. I
Oh.
love those the best. Those
I
are my
would-
favorite ones.
I'd be like, I'll follow you anywhere.
I don't really wear earrings, but if I find something like that, I'm gonna shove them in.
I'm gonna get my ears pierced to wear these fucking earrings. That's what I'm gonna do. So she starts murdering these guys left and right, and Frank is coming back stronger and stronger and stronger. But then he tells her, he straight out tells her, he's like, we got to be careful because Who's after him, Mike?
The Cenobites.
We've talked about the Cenobites, Butterball, all that stuff. We talked about the box, but essentially, what are the Cenobites? What do they do?
They're priests from hell. So the box opens up a gateway to. It's never truly explained. Barker explains it in the Scarlet Gospels, but it is a gateway to hell, and the Cenobites are priests of hell that come out to take their victims. They torture their victims endlessly, and and to Frank's ask, Frank wants the biggest, most exciting sensation ever, and so if they torture him endlessly and then stop, that would be the best sensation ever. So that's what happens to him. But he knows that seemingly nobody knew before then that if you put blood where the Cenobites took you, that would pull you out of that cell in hell. And so he knows that they will come because he cheated them.
Now, wait a minute. Because that's a big question for me.
Okay.
Do they explain that in the movie? So my thought in the process was in this movie was like he goes home, solves the puzzle, gets ripped up by the hooks. Like in a coincidence, Larry bleeds and there's just some magic going on.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a coincidence.
Okay, well, because you said the whole thing about he knows if the blood was there.
No, I said we didn't. Like nobody seemed to have known that.
Oh,
like
okay.
that brought him back,
Okay.
and nobody knew that.
So
Like
technically,
the Cenobites didn't even really know that, right? Because they didn't know he was gone
probably.
at first.
Yes.
so that's kind of like almost like a technicality. He should be let out. Like he's like they're after me, but it's like not his fault that like Larry bled there and he fucking beat the system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't want Frank out in the world, I guess. I'm fine with him in hell with the Cenobites.
it's,
But, I mean, I guess if we're going to use that logic, yeah,
It's
he
like-
deserves to get out of hell.
it's like Bill Cosby's out.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. He is out. He's out there somewhere.
Somewhere.
The cause is out there and Frank's out there.
Bumping into walls.
But the assumption or how they discuss it is that when you solve the box, it's kind of like selling your soul. So when you solve it and then they come, they take you. And that's where later when Kirsty solves it, Pinhead says like, well, you have to come. You owe us.
We use the word solve really loosely here because everybody solves this box. Like, is it supposed to be a challenge to solve it? Literally, it just looks like you rub your thumb on a part, maybe move your finger over a part of it, and then it just starts fucking transforming.
It's supposed to be that your lust for this item gets you there, but that doesn't really tell you why Kirsty did it. But
right.
I don't know.
All right. Well, Kirsty needed it, I guess, right? To kind of like, because she ends up using it against Frank. But since we're talking about Kirsty, I want to ask Laura how she feels about Frank's apparent feelings towards his niece.
I don't feel good about them at all.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
I don't like it.
So she ends up at Larry's request. Can you go over and see Julia? Right, you got your stepdaughter, and I want you guys to get along. I don't want to be between this. We've all lived there somewhere at some point, and just stop by. Hang out. She stops by, but unfortunately, she stops by when Julia is murdering the fucking Dennis the Menace guy.
Well, she sees them walking into the house.
Sees them walking into the house.
So Kirsty's just like, I'm gonna fucking follow her, and then she finds the hazard in the attic.
Good name for the movie.
Hazard in the attic.
Hazard in the attic. If you were there that day, this might have been named differently.
Yeah.
So she goes up and she finds Frank, and Frank is he's such a creepazoid with her. Like
it's not bad enough that he has no skin. Now he's just being like incestuous and creepy. Like,
oh, Kirsty, you've grown up so much. You're so beautiful.
There's nothing grosser than when an older man tells you that you've grown up so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I can picture that.
I'm going to write that line down.
Hold on. Mike's going into his book. Mike's going into his book of lines, and he's crossing that out.
If you want to creep out any woman, just tell them, oh, you've grown up so much.
Oh,
I remember when you were this big. Now you've grown up so much.
Oh,
It's no good. It's no good.
You and your breasts have gotten so big.
I see you've gone through puberty.
Oh, man.
All right.
So and then we get the chance to hear him utter because I think he says it twice, but this might be the second time. Hear him utter, come to daddy.
Come to daddy.
Yeah, and Kirsty's
that's the first time.
Is that the first time?
Because the later is when
He is actually
Yes.
okay. Right. Okay, so that is the first time.
and she finds the cube.
She finds
the
cube,
box.
tosses it out the fucking window.
Yes.
And she's like, fuck you. I did like that scene. She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Throws out the window, gets away. She gets away, she runs. She's running down the street. And then does she pass out?
Yes. And some nuns help her.
Some nuns help her. She wakes up in a hospital. And I'm telling you right now, this movie gets remade tomorrow. All right? You just watch this. And I want to see if you're on the same wavelength as me, Laura. Who plays the doctor if it gets remade tomorrow?
Oh, I don't know. I can't even picture the doctor now.
Mike, do you remember the doctor?
I remember him. I don't know who looks just like him.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's absolutely Giancarlo Esposito.
All right. Yes.
I
if you
love
have to,
him.
if you have to have the
Yes.
exact.
That was 1987 Giancarlo Esposito.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like now that you said that, I can see him in the movie.
I'm watching. I'm like, at first, I'm
Yeah.
like, is that because he's been around forever? I'm like, is that him? And it's not him.
No, it's
It is not him. So she's in the hospital, and they give her the box back. They're like, here you go
you were
Here's your
hanging on
toy.
to this. You were hanging on to this for dear life.
for dear life, and they give it back to her. She fucks with it again, and right there in the hospital, the walls start to open up. We see some fucking like cobwebs between the walls and everything.
Yeah, and there's a nice touch that I didn't know either. But the bell that rings it's an Eastern bell that they ring at a funeral. So that bell, anytime Pinhead enters our realm, that bell chimes to let people know that death is coming.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I have to
it's a
watch it
nice
again
touch.
to see all
Now
of
you
that.
got to watch Hellraiser a fucking again.
Should read the Scarlet Gospels. Very good.
Okay.
The walls open up. The Cenobites come through again. They tell Kirsty they want to take her, as we kind of talked about it a minute ago. But what does Kirsty tell them she knows, and how does this affect everything?
Well, she says she knows Frank,
Right.
and Pinhead's best line of "No tears, girl." But yes, she says, "I know what you want. You want Frank," and they don't believe her at first because I don't think they knew the loophole about the blood.
No.
So she promises to bring Frank back, and Pinhead said that. So you owe me a soul if it's not yours, but I'll take Frank.
And there's a condition that he has to take Frank. Laura, do you remember what it was?
No, I don't.
Frank has to admit that he escaped them. He tells her, if he does not admit it, I'm taking you.
So it's like writing on the chalkboard 500 times,
Yes.
like I did a bad thing.
I did a bad
Yeah.
thing. They don't show it, but also there would have been a scene, they had to cut it out, where Pinhead spanks Frank. And it was considered too sexual. There was more than 3 buttocks pumps. And
Yeah.
Too many thrusts,
Yeah.
too many
And you know what's funny?
sodomies.
They cut that out, but then earlier in the scene that we didn't talk about, this is not really important, but they're having a dinner party. And Kirsty hooks up with the dorkiest loser ever because he can flip a cigarette back in his mouth. Which
Oh yeah, I was immediately attracted to him.
does
after
that do it
yes.
for
Oh,
ladies?
totally,
Should I
yes.
learn that trick?
We love that. We love knowing that there's an ashy, smoky
Yeah.
tongue in the mouth. We love it.
hold on one second.
I'm giving you guys a lot of notes
There's a lot
tonight.
of notes to
Parlor tricks to pick up chicks.
yeah.
And I'm going to put this in parentheses again. Remember not to say how well you've grown up, no matter how much you want to say it.
No matter how much they have grown.
Yeah.
They can have grown up so good.
And that guy, and the boyfriend too, had an amazing dub. Not really.
Oh,
But,
yeah. Lots of dubs in this thing. Lots of dubs. So Kirsty goes back to the house, right? And she's like, she's going to go back and try to get Frank to admit it and, get out of the Cenobites, or get in their good graces, I guess. We never saw Larry die, right? Like, that was off screen.
Yeah. We see him go down.
Julia
Yeah, we didn't see like an actual like murder and stabbing, but
Right.
we kind of see the action of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Julia comes on to him, right? And they're about to have sex, and
That's a good scene.
Frank is very creepily like in the room watching, almost like, don't touch him.
I don't think Frank can do anything not creepily.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
more
you're
than
right.
that, but, I mean, he literally slices a rat in half while these are, and I don't blame. I mean, come on, like you're watching a non-skinned dude cut a rat in half. It's kind of kill my mood.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry doesn't know, so he's all into it.
Yeah, he's like kind of like she's like no, and he's like yes, like, and it's just like okay, this is a weird Larry scene.
And she and Julia, we haven't really mentioned it, has more than once, even though she's a bitch to him, she's kind of deflected because like Frank is just like kill Larry.
Yeah.
Like I'll suck that motherfucker. He's my brother. I don't give a fuck about him, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we'll go get British M&M. We'll do something else.
Yeah, it's a weird. I think it's kind of weird that they gave her that little bit of humanity because we're not really supposed to sympathize with her at all. Like
No.
at the end, so it's kind of weird that she was so hesitant about that because she doesn't really care.
She
about
seems
anybody
so
else.
sweet in like the initial scenes where you meet her before she like has sex with Frank.
Well, Frank corrupted her and he made her hair bigger.
I'm serious. I think Frank's penis like completely.
Fuck that hair up. Literally,
I think Frank's penis made her evil.
magic penis. All right.
She seemed so fucking like at first when oh hi Frank, and he's like, oh hi
Yeah,
Julia.
She just has like really soft features.
She does. She
and,
looks-
she's
she
not
looks
wearing that
different.
crazy makeup, and her hair's not all teased. And
Well, I mean, also that's the old like lens with a little bit of smudge on it too to make them all look young and
angelic.
yes.
She had never fucked a guy in her wedding dress before, and from that day forward,
Everything
She
changes
just
after
wanted-
that.
Everything
just wanted to
changed.
fuck him.
she was just obsessed with Frank,
No matter how little skin he had.
which makes this next bit really rough, right? So, like, incidentally, so Christy gets there, and the everything's going nuts, right? We're getting towards the end, and was it an accident? He tries to stab Christy.
Well, so you're
What
skipping
happens?
over that before she gets there, they do finally say fuck it, and he takes Larry's skin.
Right, he's wearing Larry's skin.
And so when Kirsty comes in, she's like, "We got to get the fuck out of here." But she's like, she knows about the Cenobites, and she's like, "Come on, Dad, we just got to get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "No, it's all good." And that's when he says, "Come to Daddy."
Come to Daddy. And my wife says to me, because she's like, again, I say this on the show all the time. She never watches anything with me, but she like kind of reads and like looks. She goes,
She heard that and was like, hmm.
well, no, she goes, fucked on the wedding dress? Wow. That will make you evil. She looks and she goes, does the daughter not notice like all the fucking like blood around his face?
Yeah.
Because when he's wearing the Larry skin, his whole like his
Yeah,
the
like
outline
where
of
he
his
cut it.
face,
Yeah.
where he cut it is just all gooey.
Yeah, it's like the zipper was at the hairline.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like
And and they got some cool sound effects when he's like moving the skin around.
yeah,
Yeah, little like farty noises, like he's popping like some air out of there.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
you know the air pockets that form under the skin.
You know-
just get into it for the first time.
You know that whole fucking that old chestnut.
Yeah, Leatherface knows that.
First time
yeah.
you're wearing someone else's fucking body, it's just it's never right.
the cockroach from Men in Black.
Yes,
True.
Edgar, your skin's hanging off.
Egger suit.
Yeah.
So,
So then
How does
he
he?
accidentally stabs because she's holding Kirsty, and then Kirsty breaks away, but he doesn't stop his thrust and stabs her.
Gives no fucks.
He does no fucks.
Yeah, he's just kind of like moves on right there. He's like, fine,
like,
I'll kill
sorry,
you.
babe, or something. And
That's a great scene though because he starts to drain her right there,
Yeah,
and she's like turning gray and shit.
Yep.
That was a good effect. I like that one.
that was gross.
But like, man, she really got fucked over. Like all the shit she went through and did for this guy, and now that he's got the Larry suit, he's like, I'm just gonna go bang some Asian whores. Like he doesn't care at all. He's like,
I mean,
fuck
she
it.
kind of deserves it. I'm not really upset that Julia got the.
Me neither. Me neither.
which it explains in the second one. She's like just outright.
Oh no,
terrible.
yeah.
So, but she's had a bad run.
She's a British woman from the Midwest. It's hard for her.
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, and she did all that work, and then she gets stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a little bit sympathetic. Like I would be. A little
I mean, she
pissed.
got the magic penis with skin on it once.
Did she? Okay, yeah, right. Because he bangs her, right? He bangs her when he's wearing the Larry suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that they're done when Kirsty comes on. Everybody's smoking a cigarette.
Right. Because Kirsty,
the official end to sex, a cigarette.
Kirsty thinks,
What else do you do?
Kirsty thinks that the skin body in the room is Frank, right? When she comes in initially,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And she's so then she realizes that's actually fucking Larry.
No, she thinks it's Larry, and it's actually Frank because Larry's her dad.
No, but the body in the room is Larry.
okay. I was
She-
okay. Yes,
She
yes,
at
yes,
first,
yes, yes.
she thinks it's Frank, and
Yes,
that's part of
you're
why
right,
she's
yeah.
like, we got to get out of here because he's dead, and she knows the Cenobites are going to come.
Right.
Yeah.
Who calls the Cenobites? Does she call them again?
No, they they end up back up in the attic,
Of course.
and then she scratches him, but she finally realizes it's not her father.
Right, because she fucking like tears like three.
Gouges it out, and then he's like, "All right, bitch, I'm going to do this now." And that was like him
Admitting it.
and then they
Right.
come back.
Right, because the box doesn't do it. They just fucking come back.
Yeah, you hear the bell, and then they come in.
floating around the room. And I just find this funny because you got a character like Pinhead who's this like very regal looking, scary, proper, white guy, like very like powder white, black leather suit, like a skirt suit and everything. And you just don't picture a word he's ever going to say as he goes, Frank. I just find it funny.
Well,
I don't know why. It made me laugh.
All of his dialogue is great. I mean, Doug Bradley's great. And that stuff was tough because they're a combo between an S&M, obviously, and Butcher's aprons. So that was like the prop people's combo between. But those in the first movie are actual full leather. They said it was heavy and disgusting.
It does not look like it could be easy to work in.
No.
Oh, that would be so sweaty to wear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ugh. So the Cenobites are like, fuck you, Frank. We're going to go full fucking bore. We haven't even talked about what is that other monster? That other fucking...
That's the actual worst special effects. The one that comes down the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's
that?
obviously...
Is that a Cenobite, though?
No, it's just a monster because Kirsty's trying to run down one of the hallways, like away from the Cenobites into hell, and so it's very clearly a puppet on a dolly being rolled, and then there's a close up of somebody like just chomping its jaws, and then it's flailing its legs, and we're supposed to believe it's running down the wall, but it's just a puppet on a dolly. That's legit the worst thing in the movie. Like it's the worst special effect. It's terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't great. So the Cenobites come and they decide, okay, well, fuck Frank, and we get the hook skin, right? Mm-hmm. Now this scene's a little bit different though because he's in the hooks a little bit longer, and I think we get a little bit of a better effect because like a lot of the hooks are in the face,
Yep.
and we get that stretched face look, right? Now I think this is interesting. I'm sure Mike knows this from being a fan, but I was reading up on some of the trivia. Andrew Robinson actually came up with the famous line. Mm-hmm. The initial line that Frank was supposed to say before he gets pulled apart is "fuck you," which that's just like Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
"Fuck you,"
Nothing interesting.
Nothing
about
interesting.
That, yeah.
And apparently he went over to what do you got? Oh fuck! You're wearing the shirt.
I was gonna say, are we gonna mention that?
I
Mike's
didn't
wearing?
notice that. I didn't. What does the shirt say? It?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have to look after we're done. I get this thing up higher now. So.
All right.
So yeah, so he's going to initially say "fuck you," and Andrew Robinson says, "Hey, look, I think this would be a better."
Because he is splayed.
Oh, he's
like he's going to be like a crucified.
He's like
person.
crucified.
Yeah.
He's on that like fucking spinning rack thing, and
Yeah.
and all the Cenobites are like at like a high level of fucking excitement. Chatterer, the
Yeah,
fat
he's
guy.
chattering extra.
Everybody's like a little bit, like vagina neck is like spreading harder than normal. It's pretty gross. And Andrew Robinson says, I'm gonna do an old gem. And this has got to be like something they said in like the fucking, I don't know. This is like this. It sounds almost like it was the precursor to Jesus Christ. Maybe Jesus Christ is the one we all use nowadays. Jesus Christ. But what does he say, Mike?
He says Jesus wept as he licks his lips, and then it's this
Right at Kirsty, like straight up, eyeball to eyeball. Yeah. Jesus wept, and slow too. It's not like quick. It's sexual.
Yeah. He had to be the creepy uncle one last time.
But he's actually the creepy dad too.
Oh,
That's a double.
Oh yeah.
That's
She's gonna be real fucked up for the rest of her life.
And I don't know. It has to have some connotation besides just swearing, though, because I mean the connotation is that he's taking it like a man.
Right.
Like, Jesus was a wuss when he got crucified, and he won't weep. And then it's probably one of the best effects shots that too. They just pull out the door as he gets just ripped apart.
Oh, he gets, it's like Scanners. He blows the fuck up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
It is good. It is certainly good. He blows the fuck up. It's gross. It is definitely gross. So that's pretty much it. We get a little an epilogue. There's been this creepy bum that's been following Kirsty along, which really doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Well, they run around the house a little too, because the rest of the Cenobites, because they're Hell Knights or the Hell priests. So
yeah, the weird boyfriend shows up.
Yeah, we're gonna take all you guys, and they're like, no, but Kirsty gets away. The end of this movie, when the Cenobites, when she kind of relegates them back to their realm, it's a bunch of like kind of like really not great like laser effects, electricity-ish effects. And I was reading that Clive Barker said that basically they had run out of effects money by the end of the filming. Yep.
And He didn't even give the guy a name. He said him and one of the other guys, a Greek guy, spent a weekend drinking and animating those scenes. And he's like, I don't care what anybody says. It's better than you would think for where we were at.
Yeah.
Another good Clive Barker story I thought was his mother went to the premiere with him. And she leaned over before the movie and said, I cannot tell you how incredibly proud I am. And he said, I'm glad you said that because you're not going to enjoy the next hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have this creepy bum that's been following Christy around right throughout the movie.
He's eating crickets.
He's got crickets in his beard. Now, Laura, on a scale of 1 to 10 for attractiveness for you in a mate, right?
Okay. All right.
Crickets in the beard.
Crickets in the beard. Well, how many crickets?
I mean, the guy's got a kind of a Rob Zombie look.
He does.
I'm not attracted to Rob Zombie though.
All right, big beard. So it's a big beard. So like, let's say less than 12, more than 8.
Less than like attractiveness?
No, less than 12
okay.
crickets,
In his
more
beard.
than 8.
You're like, wow,
wow, you're
12's
really
high.
I'll give him a 3.
All right.
It could be worse.
Okay. Is that a 3 out of 5 scale or a 10 scale?
10 scale.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Crickets bring you down a couple of pegs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what weird, like everybody has their things and maybe crickets in the beard is one of your
Mine
things.
is not crickets in the beard.
All right. All right. So
Or any bugs. Just to put that out there. No bugs on the face or anything.
you're right. Mike, write this down.
Bug free.
Most chicks don't dig bugs. All right. Write that down.
Like, I just ate a bunch of crickets. We should make out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Put a cigarette in your mouth too. Smoky crickets.
Flip it back.
Yeah. And remember, if you think that telling her it's a good source of protein is going to help, she does not give a fuck. All right. Girl,
never worked.
It's never going to work. It's
Never going to work.
So at the very end, they escape the house. The house, does it get sucked into the ground?
It like kind of implodes on itself.
Implodes on itself. Her and the badly dubbed boyfriend are outside, and there's
And
like
he's got that sweet rainbow shirt on.
Yeah, that's a good shirt.
Oh, man, that's an 80s beauty right there.
the bum comes and he gets the box, and then he turns into a winged creature of doom.
It's like a pterodactyl skeleton.
Yeah, he's
With
essentially-
skin though.
Larry likes to say that that's the secondhand prop from The Golden Child.
I can see that. I could see that being also the cover to like a Motorhead album or something like, some 80s like heavy metal
Oh, for
album.
sure.
Oh, that's definitely been an album cover somewhere.
somewhere. And he flies away, and then he delivers the box back to the street vendor, and then we get the very last scene, which is a mirror of the first scene with a different guy, not Frank. Frank's gone. Some other guy who wants the box, and
Yes.
Hellraiser ends.
And that's why Barker's not happy with it, because the idea is that's what happens, but you get your hell.
Mm-hmm.
So the next guy doesn't have the lusty, sexy, whatever stuff
Right.
that Frank had. So he gets a different hell when he opens the
That
box.
would have been a cool series. Like just a different
and that's
somebody's different
the-
torture every different movie. Yeah.
The epic comics, that's the basis. It's different people get, wish for different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a devil's deal there. And it turns out terrible. But, they don't all have the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, you'd think people would stop trying to make deals with devils and demons and hell because it has never worked out for anybody, I feel.
Late at night you go,
Just a little lonely. Make a
That would
deal
be
with
a
a
great.
demon.
That would be a great movie where like someone does that and it works out.
Yeah, and it's actually like a love story.
It's a love
and
story.
It's a coming of age story. It's an indie movie.
And like at the end though, nothing bad happens, and you're like, "Fuck, that turned out way differently than the rest of these."
yeah.
All right, so that's our Halloween special. We talked about Hellraiser. Mike, I'm going to go to you first because you're the fanboy here. You're wearing the fucking T-shirt.
literally.
Literally, you're that guy. On a scale of 0 to 5, as we always do, quarter and half scale optional, what do you give 1987's Hellraiser?
I do love it. I do love Clive Barker. There are definitively some problems. It is amazing though for what he had. For that budget and what he did, and it was his first movie, etc. I'm going to give it 4.25, 4.25.
You mirror Larry. Larry couldn't be here tonight. Larry was going to do the show with us, but something came up work-wise he had to take care of. He watched the movie. Oh, and by the way, he wanted me to say this. I forgot. We usually do it on some of the Larry shows where we go by a different rating system. This is buckets of Frank slime. Buckets of Frank slime.
All right, so 4.25. So
And Larry said 4.25 as well.
and I really love it, but there are a lot of problems that because it's low budget.
Right.
But it's if you've never seen it before, you got to see it. It's great. Don't ever watch anything past 2.
Do you think so? When I gave Larry the, I guess the directive of horror classic, do you think this fits the bill?
Oh, most certainly.
Okay.
Because I think it's amazing to me that all those sequels later were like direct to video and no money, because even if you've never seen the movie, like everybody knows who Pinhead is.
Oh yeah, my mom knows who Pinhead
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And then probably 80% of those people know about that there's a puzzle box that like opens a gateway to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like those two things are huge. Just like Mike Myers or Jason in his mask and whatever. Like it's just amazing to me that nobody is like, yeah, this is worth at least a few mil,
Right.
to do something with it. But
I still think that like we talked about a little bit earlier, if you've never seen it, even if you know those things, like Pinhead, the box, that if you never saw this going in blind, it would almost be like if you knew nothing about Friday the 13th, except for Jason. You watch the first one and go, the guy wasn't in it at all.
it's true.
This movie, you would be like, where isn't this Pinhead guy going to kill someone sooner or later?
Yeah.
But he doesn't show up for like probably 30 minutes, and he's only there. All 4 of them are only peppered in a few times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the problem with trying to make sequels is like these are not psycho serial killers.
Right.
They're doing a specific thing. You call them there, you sell your soul, they take it, and they take you, and that's that. I mean, it's not pretty, and it's not nice. And, he figured out this cool story where Frank escapes and everything. But,
Yeah, it's good that they serve a purpose and they're not just like willy-nilly killing people just because
yes.
they're
Like,
psychotic or whatever. Yeah,
are you a teenager and you just had sex?
Oh.
Die.
All right, so we'll go to Laura last. Laura's last.
Okay.
I agree. It fits the bill, horror classic. So I'm glad we did this one. I do enjoy this a lot. I think it's a super solid movie. I don't know if I'm in 4 territory, but I'm 3.75. Frank's a great antagonist. He's just a creepazoid from outer space. Julia is also a great antagonist. It's great to see Andrew Robinson be something not like a weirdo psycho killer. He's the good guy in this movie. Mm-hmm. The Cenobites and all that stuff is very creepy. I don't know. Maybe there's just something missing for me. The gore is good. The effects are good. Like $1 million budget. Like the Frank suit looks great. Like, you're constantly like, I would not touch that motherfucker.
No, it's too slimy.
It's so slimy. And sinewy. Right?
Sinewy is, yes,
You
very
would not be
sinewy.
rubbing your finger or his finger over
Yeah.
I mean, like if I needed chapstick, maybe. it looks like it could be moisturizing.
It's like there's a lot of lipids on your raw finger.
There's a lot of protein in that.
I'm going to
ooze.
use that. I'm going to use that to my advantage. So yeah, I give it a 3.75. I do think it's a horror classic. I'll probably watch Hellbound soon. But this is not one of those series that I would dive into like the next 8 because I know I've seen the space one, but it just, I don't know.
Hellbound was written by a friend of his, and it makes sense if you do the like what happens literally next, but it loses the entirety of his idea that it's a cyclical, different person comes for a different lust or dream or whatever every time.
Right. All right, Laura, is it a horror classic and what do you give it?
Yes, it's definitely a horror classic. I remember watching this at sleepovers when I was younger, and everybody else was scared of it, and I was just enthralled by it. So I have really good memories of watching Hellraiser by myself in somebody's basement. But I'm going to give it a 4 because it holds nostalgic value, and I love watching it. Like, I could pretty much just put it on and enjoy watching it no matter how many times. So
that's it. That's Hellraiser. That's our Halloween special here at Pine Comics. Now, Mike, I want to ask you, I know you can't talk about what they are, but you guys over at Cult Classics, CT Cult Classics, have what, at this point, 2 more shows for the year, right?
Yep. So we have 2 more shows. We're going to do one in November, one in December.
And I know what they are. And I'm very excited. And that's all I can tell you. You got to go to ConnecticutCultClassics.com and check out what's coming. Go to Scary Larry's voting page for our Scary Larry's Pine of Horrors episode. I don't know if there's a vote up right now. We're going to be doing High Tension very soon. and then we're going to be redoing Rubber. Don't ask why we're going to redo Rubber. Here, I'll tell you why. My computer died and fucked me over, and I lost that episode. So we got a couple good episodes coming back up with Mike and Laura again, and Larry will be here for those. Larry, it's too bad you missed this, man. It was fun. Hope you're having fun doing whatever the hell it is you're doing.
At work.
Next time we'll talk about that tire again.
Yeah.
I can talk about that for
You know,
I have a lot to say about that still.
you know what's funny is Larry had said to me, he said, so we did the Rubber episode, and this isn't a spoiler, but at the end of the Rubber episode, we did the vote, and then in the meantime, High Tension won the vote, but the Rubber episode got lost. So Larry said, well, why don't we just get together and just redo the Rubber episode? And I'm like, I can't. I'm like, let's switch them around. I said, let's do High Tension as episode 5, and then we'll get to Rubber at 6. I said, I can't talk about it again right now. And that's not indicative of me hating the movie, but even like we lost A Simple Plan, which was Mike's last Pint Movie Invitational, and I love that movie. But I it's weird. Like, it's a weird thing thinking about sitting down with the same 4 people and having the same conversation again. And especially when I felt we had 2 really good ones. We're going to do it anyway, but I wanted to give it a little bit of time.
That makes sense.
You know, so I could even watch the movies again and have a little bit different piece of view.
Real polished now.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of trivia about Rubber.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know everything about
It's going to be
Rubber.
like 2 hours long because we'll be so well versed in it.
That's right.
The last time this happened with a movie, I didn't lose the episode, but this was last year, and it was due to COVID. We were going to record our Motel Hell episode, and then shit happened, and we couldn't do it. And then like we finally reconvened like 3 months later to do it. So I had to watch that twice in like a 3-month period. And that's not a good movie.
Oh, I like Motel Hell.
Yeah, you would. You would, Laura.
It's fun to watch.
It's not terrible.
It makes you want sausage.
Oh, God. All right, so check us out at Pint of Comics on Instagram. It's pint_o_comics. Go to Twitter at Pint of Comics. Find us on Facebook, Pint of Comics. And as always, every week, go to your favorite podcatcher. Go to, I don't care, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and type in Pint O Comics and listen to us every single week. Mike and Laura, thank you so much for being my co-host this week.
Thank you for having me.
Happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween. See ya.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!